Dear brothers, this is going to be a tougher one today, but an important one that I hope you guys get a lot out of. My old man was diagnosed with a terminal neurodegenerative disease when I was going into my sophomore year of high school. The prognosis was really he was only given a couple of years to live, most likely. And during the remainder of my high school career, I struggled immensely with that. How could my hero have this happen to him? Why him? Why my dad, of all people, who I saw as a good man, a loving man, a godly man, a faithful man? How could this happen to him? And in truth, this was really the first time that my faith had ever been tested. Faith in myself, faith in my dad, who I'd seen do pretty much everything under the sun, who I thought was invincible, and really, ultimately, my faith in God. And the year before I graduated in 2009, Mumford & Sons came out with their album, Sigh No More. And on that album, there is a song called Thistle Weeds, which became kind of a pillar I held on to during that time in my life. And to know the exact meaning of the words in that song, you're going to have to ask Marcus Mumford himself. The context with which it impacted me may be a bit different than what they would have expected it to be. But that song came to represent an element that was so necessary in my life at that time that I don't really know if I would have made it through those years without it. And that was hope. When I was told that my dad was sick, not the kind of sick like he's got the flu, or even the sick like he's got some kind of cancer, but the kind of sick where he's going to lose all of his function and rapidly succumb to this disease, it felt like I was kicked in the gut, and many of you might know that feeling. I can remember sitting on our stairs at the house we had up in Maine, and just, at first, it wasn't like there was tears. It was just shock and misunderstanding. And eventually that turned into sobs. It felt like God had left us and that the world suddenly became this bottomless pit of darkness. And I really struggled against that for those first several years. And then I happened upon this song, Thistle Weeds. My sister might even have sent it to me. And in the opening verse of that song, it says this: "Alone in the wind and the rain you left me. It's getting dark, darling, too dark to see. And I'm on my knees and the water creeps to my chest." That first and that last line struck me with an enormous weight. And I felt alone in that storm, unable to understand why such darkness could exist. How could such a storm come out of nowhere? Why was everything so out of control? It felt like the rain was pouring in through the ceiling and swallowing me whole without an escape. How could the man who was my superhero be suffering so severely? How could God do this to us, allow this? How could any of this exist at all? And I had no control of this, and my faith was shattered. But the next verse of the song has brought me through some pretty terrible moments and seen me shed a few more tears than I care to admit. But they helped me get through a time in my life that seemed pretty unbearable. And so the chorus says the following: "But plant your hope with good seeds. Don't cover yourself with thistle and weeds. Rain down on me." There is a parable in Luke 8 about a farmer sowing seeds. And some of those seeds fall on a path and were trampled and eaten by the birds, and other seeds fell on the rocky ground, and as they grew, they were choked by the lack of water and moisture. Some seeds were amongst the thorns, and as they grew, they were choked and unable to grow and died. However, some of those seeds fell into good soil, and they grew and they yielded crops, and those crops were 100-fold more than was sown by the farmer in the beginning. And later in that chapter, Jesus explains the meaning of that parable. And he says this: "Those on the rocky ground are the ones who receive the word with joy when they hear it, but they have no root. They believe for a while, but in the time of testing, they fall away. The seed that fell among the thorns stands for those who hear, but as they go on their way, they are choked by life's worries, riches, and pleasures, and they do not mature. But the seed on good soil stands for those with a noble and good heart, who hear the word, retain it, and by persevering, produce a crop." I felt like I was on that rocky ground and had no real roots. I felt like I was surrounded by thistle and weeds, which were constricting me to what felt like imminent death. I was being choked by the anxieties and worries of my life, by the knowledge of my hero's current struggles and near end, and that really broke me. But the principle, or the one principle that my dad always told me to hold on to, and one that I said with my words, but certainly not with my deeds, was that I must have faith in God's promises to us, that He alone can turn all things to good, that He never leaves us nor forsakes us, that in Him we can find solace and meaning through all of these struggles. But the minute that a real struggle found its way into my life, my faith was not strong enough to bear it. And I didn't put my hope in good seeds. And the result was a choked, hollow, shattered young man watching his dad endure unimaginable suffering without a reprieve. In the bridge of that song, it repeats the same phrase multiple times. And there was a time that I used to repeat this to myself, must have been daily. And it says this: "Oh, I will hold on hope. Oh, I will hold on hope. Oh, I will hold on hope. I will hold on. Sorry, fellas. I wasn't holding on. I was actively trying to let go as best I could. But we are not called to run away in the midst of difficulty. God calls us to hold on to hope. Not a false hope, not a conjured up hope, nothing fake, but a hope in His Word. And when we persevere, when we fight, when we choose goodness, when we remain steadfast, when we choose courage, when we choose to have faith, a crop will be produced that is tenfold what we could have ever expected. The end of the song says this: "I begged you to hear me, there's more than flesh and bones. Let the dead bury their dead, they will come out in droves. Take the spade from my hand and fill in the holes you've made. Plant your hope with good seeds. Don't cover yourself with thistle and weeds. Rain down on me." I cannot control the world. I cannot control the disease that took my superhero from me. I cannot control the external factors of this life. It took me years to accept that truth. Years in which I left God completely, spit at his feet. Even after this song gave me so much hope then, I said, screw this. What kind of God could do this to my hero? It took some incredible, and I'll call them dire circumstances, but eventually the hollowness in my soul led me back to God. And in the end of this song, really expresses my feelings at that time pretty beautifully. Our bodies, our flesh and bones, are just here on this earth. They are not eternal. They're just a jacket we wear while we're here. There is more to life than just what we have right now. That is what God promises us. That's what my dad told me all those years about what his promise meant. I truly believe that my dad is running around heaven now, celebrating, messing with angels, telling fart jokes, certainly never losing in one-on-one basketball, with a whole body and a smile on his face. And the circumstances here on earth, as dire as they were, led me down a path to where I am today. And a path I pray that he is proud of. So fellas, we must plant our hope with good seeds. Seeds of seeking wisdom, reading the word, being gracious, being persistent, being kind, forgiving, showing faith. When we ignore these, those thistle and weeds will choke us until we are truly completely broken. When the world starts raining on you, when difficulty comes, put those seeds in the good soil of your faith and actions and let the rain come down. A harvest unlike you have ever known will come. God bless all of you. I love you all. Be strong. Let's get after it, boys.